Hello and welcome. Today we're going to talk about your human design digestion. In addition to following your strategy and authority, following the guidance of your digestion type can radically transform your experience of life for the better. There will be timestamps to each of the 12 digestion types below. In the description, I'm going to be attaching a calculator that shows your human design digestion type called the Human Design Blueprint Calculator. You need to know your birth time. When you put it in the calculator, unfortunately, there is some light advertisement. It does have an input box for your email address. You do not need to put your email though. And then there's a coupon that pops up offering 10%. You can just click off of that. Otherwise, you should just be able to put in your birth information. And I love that this calculator shows all the different variables on a left-hand panel that is gray. Your digestion variable is the fifth from the bottom. I was initially drawn to human design digestion because I've been struggling with some health issues and I thought it might tell me what to eat or how to eat. I started experimenting with digestion for food specifically. The results were okay. I kind of got results, but I found that I was sort of already naturally eating more or less according to my digestion type. And I didn't really get significantly better results by following my digestion strictly when it came to eating food. Then I decided to try to apply the principle of digestion to my life and way of living. And that was powerfully impactful. Now, just for context, before I ever incorporated digestion, I spent 6 entire months focusing just on my strategy, which I'm just an everyday generator, you guys, so my strategy is to respond. So I focused on living in response, and I did that consciously with every decision for 6 months until I felt like I had mastered that. And then I discovered more about my authority, which for me is emotional authority, but I really focused on emotional authority for 6 months. And then after a year of strategy and authority, then I started experimenting with digestion, and I'm about a month into living my digestion now. And there'll be a separate video on my experience with that. It'll be a companion video to this one. Human design digestion is about so much more than diet. It describes your best approach to your day. How do you approach the day or the night, depending on what digestion type that you have. I just love human design because it's such nuanced guidance. And the truth of the matter is we are all different. If you have eyes and you have a heart, you can see that we each need something different to thrive. And so human design, the digestion variable, is just one bit more information on how you can thrive or how you can support your children in thriving or your spouse or anyone else. So let's jump in and explore each of the 12 digestive types. Again, timestamps will be included in the description below. Consecutive appetite is the digestive type that thrives the most when taking life in a consecutive fashion, which basically means one thing at a time. And so when it comes to eating, this can often mean breaking food down according to specific food groups. And there's a lot of science that suggests that if you're going to do this, the best order for digestion and for blood sugar is to sort of start by eating foods that are high in fiber. So this would be salads or vegetables, and then kind of move into proteins like beans or meat products, and then into fats, and then to end with carbs. So that's overall a scientific perspective, but human design is an experiment. So you kind of want to think for happy digestion, what feels best to you. So like for me, I have consecutive appetite, and I have always done pretty well with intermittent fasting, like especially focusing on fluids like early in the day. So just having first like light fluids like waters or clear fluids, and then kind of moving into like maybe smoothies, milks, soups, and then like solid food at the end. And that's like worked really, really well for me. But with consecutive appetite, what you need to thrive is to kind of approach things in phases and fully complete one thing before moving on to the next. I think of this as being a type that really thrives with mindfulness, like being fully present for the task at hand or the meal at hand before moving on to the next thing. Many of us think that like we thrive when we're multitasking, like, oh, I can mix together all these different foods, or I can do 10 things at once. But with consecutive digestion, the more that you can break things down into phases, the better. This is a type that can thrive with like working hours. Like, okay, this is my personal time, my quiet time in the morning, then these are my working hours, then this is my family time, then this is my time before bed, like this is my wind down time. Consecutive. One thing, then the next thing, then the next thing, then the next thing, right? Like it's like appetizer, fully present with the appetizer, meal, dessert. This is my Human Design Digestion type, and I'm going to have a companion video where I deep dive into my experience performing experiments with consecutive digestion to share more with all of you. Alternate digestion. Oh, I don't know why, I just kind of love this one. This type thrives by alternating between one thing and the next thing. And so you actually need to sort of like change things up. Like maybe for a while you just love going to Starbucks and you are just loving the pumpkin spice latte, and that's going great, and you have that like consistently, and then it's like, I need to change things up. How about this peppermint mocha, or like whatever. That's just like a random example. There's something about it that is so sweet. I feel like these are like freedom loving individuals, and you must allow yourself to be free. Some level of consistency is good, like when you discover something that works for you, to enjoy it for as long as you're enjoying it. And then like once it's not like that fruitful for you anymore, then just change things up. Like I think for people who have this digestive type, even like the routines of life, for example, driving to work, maybe you drive the same way for quite some time and then you just kind of get bored of it. You know, it's like not energizing to you anymore. And even if it's a little longer, like find a new way, like, you know what I mean? Find a new route, go the back way, discover a new way, and then you start to feel like connected to life again. I think it's like the same thing with maybe say working out, for example. Like maybe for a long time you're doing like a spin class or a HIIT class or something like that. It's like, yeah, this is great. Like this is energizing. I feel successful, or whatever your hallmark is, right? Like you're getting that feeling, and then you're getting that feeling less and less and less and less. And then it's like, you know what? I want to do something like totally different. I'm going to start swimming now, or I'm going to start training for a 5K. You alternate between different things. And then like maybe you do that for a while. It's like, oh, I really enjoyed running for a while. You know what I'm craving? The HIIT class. I'm going to go back to that again. So we're alternating between a variety of different things that are good and that we enjoy and that are aligning for us. You can keep doing something for as long as you're enjoying it. So like if, let's say you love protein powder oatmeal or like something like that, or like protein pancakes or something, and you just eat them, like eat them for as long as like you're loving it and you're feeling good. You know, even if you're eating protein pancakes 3 meals a day for 2 weeks, like just eat your protein pancakes, and then once they're like not nourishing you anymore and you're not getting energy from them, then switch to something else. Maybe it's something totally different. Maybe it's nachos, or maybe it's a specific soup, or whatever it is. Like, just be experimental with your approach, and be experimental with your approach to life and living, sort of letting your strategy and authority guide you to things that are correct for you. When you discover something that is, give yourself permission to really indulge with it, and to just enjoy it as much as possible. Maybe it's even music, and you just listen to the same artist or the same songs for as long as you're enjoying it. And then when it's no longer aligning for you, then moving on to something else. You've got to kind of give yourself permission to live a little bit differently than others, kind of to do your own thing, and to honor when you need a change. You know, you could be loving something for a while. Maybe it's a particular hobby, particular clothing, particular ways of spending your time, whatever the case may be, particular games, whatever it is. When you feel that impulse to change things up, alternate to something else. Maybe change according to the seasons. Honor those impulses within you, and just know that it's correct for you to enjoy something for as long as you enjoy it, and have maybe a few different things that you really enjoy, and switch back and forth between the various different things that you enjoy, whether that's with food, that's with music, that's with hobbies, whatever. It can be with people even. Maybe you really enjoy one friend for a while, you spend a lot of time together, and then you kind of feel like, you know what, I'd like to spend time with my other friend now for a bit of time instead. And just know that that is correct for you. If you have experiences with alternate digestion, let me know in the comments below. Open taste. I love this one so much. I just think like, hey, you want to try that new taco place? Yeah, I'm open. What do you think about this everything bagel spice? You want some of that? Yeah, I'm open. It's about taking in life. Like, you are highly sensitive. I actually think of like those with open taste as being like a classic, highly sensitive person. And I think it's about being open to the experiences of life, to really feel into things and to see what feels good, and to stick with the things that feel good. So as an open taste person, you are very, very sensitive to the environment around you. You are very, very sensitive to the ingredients that you take into your body, and that could include things like preservatives. The thing about being sensitive is that it's neither good nor bad. Like, when we're very sensitive to something, it means that when something's good for us, it's like really good. Like, it can have like a dramatically positive impact on our constitution. But if something is not good for us, like if it's like what might be just like a little bit irritating for another person, can be really dramatically bad for us. So I think with open taste, just really being choosy, really paying attention to how you're impacted by your food, definitely, but also by life itself and other things that you take into your aura, like people, places, music, activities. Honor that choosy part of you. Like, pay attention to how you're impacted, and when you're impacted in a good way by something, like really, really choose it. When you're impacted in a way that isn't so good, honor that and allow yourself to really say no. I think for you, life is a question of like, under what conditions do I thrive? Where do I thrive? With whom do I thrive? What do I thrive? Like, when I take into my body, and building your life around the things that help you to thrive. Like, really carefully observing what works for you, choosing what works for you, repeating what works for you, and spending time around the people and places that make you feel healthy and well. As a matter of fact, like when you have open digestion, you're so sensitive to like wellness as a whole that actually spending time around people that are healthy or just like people that eat really well and exercise, like it actually can make you like feel more healthy or make it easier for you to adopt like healthy habits, like healthy diet, healthy lifestyle, healthy exercise. So use that to your advantage. Go and shop in the places that are like health food stores, or go, like if you're not feeling like that motivated towards health, so maybe even just like stepping into a gym or like a healthy food market, like your energy is so open in that way that you can start to kind of vibrate at that frequency of health too. Do you want to try this new protein bar? No thanks. Like a new restaurant opened up on the other side of town. Fresh Japanese fish. Do you want to try it? No. No, thank you. It's not necessary for you to try everything that other people are recommending. Allowing yourself to just say no, honoring your instinct. Like, and your inner voice is what's gonna guide you the best. And you may find that you're clearest about what is healthiest for you when you are alone or when you are in the privacy of your own space. Spend time alone in private and peaceful places. And rather than consuming your food and trying to digest life and life experiences in an open environment, you may find that you actually do a lot better if you eat in a quiet space without a lot of disruption, or if you work in a more closed space, like being able to work with your office door closed, or like, I always think about libraries. Like I love libraries, and there's usually a floor of the library where it's like a completely quiet floor, or there's like study rooms where you can get off on your own. Those things may be good for you with closed taste or closed digestion. Release any pressure that you're putting on yourself to conform to societal expectations. Sometimes there's like pressure, you know, go out, eat with a big group of people, share some kind of big plate of food, or kind of join in. You don't have to do that. You know, if everybody goes to the work cafeteria, but you feel overwhelmed with all the people and all the sights and everything around you, like give yourself permission to step outside and eat on a bench, like under a tree instead, rather than a night out on the town. Like maybe you prefer to have a quieter night in. Just experiment until you find what brings peace and well-being for you. And that's what human design really is. It is an experiment. And with closed taste digestion, you're learning that it's okay to just say no and to honor your inner voice above all the voices of the outside. And kind of closing off a little bit sometimes can help with your digestive processes. So if you've taken in a lot from the day, whether that's food or experiences, stimulus of whatever types, or it's just been an intense day, kind of closing down, closing off a little bit is actually quite healthy for you. Hot digestion or hot thirst. I think of that song, Sunshine on My Shoulders. Have you ever heard it? It's like, sunshine on my shoulders makes me happy. So with this digestion type, you thrive when you stay warm and hydrated. Those are key factors for you, not just for your food. Like it is good, like if your food is hydrating and your food is taken warm, but also this is good for you just with life in general. Like you're going to digest life and life experiences better when you are well hydrated, not dehydrated, when you're warm, maybe with a nice blanket. You will thrive when you're able to kind of soak in a warm bath take warm showers, consume things like soup, warm teas, herbal teas. Oh yes, that can be so good. Maybe coffee, beverages. I think just anything that's hydrating and warm is going to be really good for you. Even things like steam room, whirlpool rather than like a cold swimming pool. Nice baths. When choosing vacations, maybe something a bit tropical. Because it's hot thirst, maintaining hydration is really key. So you might want to experiment with things like hydration tabs, mineral drops, because you definitely want to avoid dehydration, which will make it more difficult for you to digest not just food, but digest life itself. Consuming foods that are room temperature, like not like eating things like some people eat things like directly out of the freezer or directly out of the fridge. I favor things that are room temperature or warm, and environments that are room temperature or warm. Being near water and being in sunshine and warmth can be super balancing for you. Focusing on foods that are hot or warm, or at least not frozen or cold, will help you digest more. If you're having digestive problems and you're also eating like a lot of ice cream or like cold yogurt, refrigerated veggies or stuff like that, try having and switching to things that are more warm instead, and your digestion may improve quite a bit. If you're spending a lot of time in cold environments or cold, dry environments, like, I don't know, like the side of like a ski hill or something like that, try to warm up. Spend a little bit of time in the whirlpool instead, and I think you'll be back to feeling better very soon. So if you're not feeling so good right now and this is your digestion, go soak in a hot bath, add in some Epsom salts, and I think you're gonna feel much better very soon. Cold thirst. Wow. You definitely want to like keep your refrigerator stocked with water bottles or nice cold beverages, and always have those available. You're probably a friend of vending machines. Just want to always have a nice cold beverage with you. Maybe invest in a water bottle that keeps things really cold. And in warm weather, make sure that you're keeping yourself cool in some way. Maybe with like one of those cooling vests that you can wear, or I think they make like cooling scarves that go like on the back of your neck that can cool down your body, especially during the hot times of year. Maybe having some hobbies that cool you and that are damp and cool. So I think things like maybe ice skating, or watching like hockey games, or being near ice rinks inside, swimming in cool pools, or working out like in air-conditioned gym. You may actually benefit from cool showers. It doesn't need to be like ice cold, but rather than like real hot steamy showers, like a little bit cooler can be very good. And just avoiding especially hot and dry conditions like the desert. Like, we definitely don't want to spend a lot of time. That's gonna pull you out of balance. Foods that are very hot and dry can have the same effect. But I'm just thinking of like chips that are like fresh baked in the oven. Like if you've ever made things like that, something like that might not be so good for you. Like generally, you'll probably do better if you're eating in a cool environment. So like if you are eating outside, like a barbecue or something like that, maybe going for like, maybe sitting near the lake could be good. Maybe under a shade tree, and drinking like a lot of iced tea or like ice cold beverages. Maybe as a fun activity, you want to try to do a cold plunge rather than sitting in the hot tub or whirlpool. Dip your feet into a cool pool instead. You may enjoy going out to like an ice theater, or like anything involving ice rinks can be really good. Like an indoor water park can be better than sitting on like a hot beach. For vacation, maybe you want to try like an Alaskan cruise, for example, or going to Iceland. For foods, you can snack on things like salad, fruit salad, smoothies. You might experiment with things like cold soups, like usually soups are taken hot. You might experiment with taking warm foods like lasagna or pizza and putting them in the refrigerator until they're cool and then having them cool instead. You might find that you digest them better. Having things on hand like popsicles that you can pull out of the freezer can be very good. You may find that you do better if you have a very important meetings or dates in cool environments, like in air-conditioned environments, rather than, say, for example, outside in the bright sun. Definitely mind your hydration during the day. Make sure that you're well hydrated. You may benefit from electrolyte tablets, mineral drops. Just stay cool, calm, and collected as you go about your day. Don't let yourself get overheated and don't let yourself get dehydrated. And yeah, stay cool, stay hydrated, and you will thrive. Calm or calm touch digestion. Oh, I love you, sensitive souls. You all need just a low-key approach to eating, and you can thrive with a calm, low-key approach to life. You may explore sensory deprivation and find that you love things like float tanks. You may find that consciously cultivating calm, for example, taking a moment to meditate or taking a moment to say a prayer before you eat, just anything that brings calm to your system, can be very much of benefit to you, way more than it is for the average person. Taking that time to get centered, calm your nervous system before you're intaking anything, whether that thing is food or that thing is a significant experience that you're having in life. And cultivate consciously as you go about your day energies of calm and quietude. If you're eating out at a restaurant, you may find it beneficial to kind of like select a table or a booth in a quiet corner, or specifically like choose a restaurant that has a calm vibe, maybe with candlelight and some gentle music. In your own home, creating calm around eating is really important too. That may even mean like eating apart from other friends or family. Like you don't want to play like really intense games or watch like really dramatic, intense movies or shows while you're eating. So that can be a big transition at first, but I think you'll find it to be really beneficial if you can start to eat maybe with nice lighting and maybe just read or listen to an audio book or just be as calm as possible while you're taking in your experiences. And as a general approach to life, you want to consciously reduce stress, reduce distractions, minimize all forms of emotional turbulence. Now, I understand this can be easier said than done, but these are the things to focus on. And instead, seek out people and places that are tranquil, calm. Approach your life with mindfulness as much as you can, and just create a lifestyle that supports like a balanced, peaceful mind and emotional balance, and that brings about calm for you. You might enjoy going to places like spas or retreat centers and just really giving yourself full permission to say no to places that are really turbulent, dramatic, or chaotic. And if you're in a place that is really chaotic or really dramatic, giving yourself permission to step away and seek the calm that you want and need. Nervous touch, nervous digestion. I think of the quote, "There's no point in living if you don't feel alive." This is so crazy to me, but you all actually digest life itself and you digest food itself with plenty of stimulating conversation. Like when you feel engaged, when you feel wrapped up in the experience of life and living, you will have your very best life. So you actually thrive with plenty of stimulation. You thrive when you feel alive and you feel engaged with all of the senses that are around you. So this is really about cultivating the appropriate level of stimulation and engagement as you go about your daily life. And you may find that you really do tolerate a lot more stimulation, maybe more sight, sounds, smells than the people around you. So when I think of nervous digestion, I do think of that person that maybe they do thrive like eating while they're playing some kind of very active game, digging into that popcorn at that thriller movie, and they're just loving every single second of it. I think of like the people who love like tasting all the samples at Costco, like at the very busiest hour on the Saturday afternoon, and they're like, yeah, this is like so delicious. Or they're like wandering around a carnival where there's kind of all the, or fair, and there's all those foods, and they're like, they've got like 10 different things in their hands, and they're eating and tasting everything, and they're looking at the big Ferris wheel, and there's music in the background, and there's so much going on. This is kind of about like coming into the thick of it and just being fully engaged with life and living. This is a type that can eat on the go. I think of almost like the opening scene of Beauty and the Beast, and she's like, there goes a baker with this tray like always, you know that? And it's just like, if she at that time was like having an ice cream cone or eating her lunch and she's like walking throughout the town and singing and all that, to me, that's nervous digestion. This is someone who's not going to do so well, like eating totally alone in quietude. There are other digestive types for whom that's perfectly fine, like taking lunch alone at their desk at work is perfectly fine. You may not actually digest well that way. You may need to go out with colleagues at lunchtime or go into the cafeteria. You might need to listen to like a really engaging like true crime podcast or something like that while you're eating. If you are eating alone, you just generally do the best when you maintain an energy about your life and you maintain this like energetic mental engagement or mental stimulation as you go about your day, as you go about your life. Keeping your mind and your senses like engaged in the environment around you should help you to digest your food and to be healthy in all ways. So that's a little bit about nervous digestion. When I think of high sound, I think of having like a soundtrack to your life. I think of digesting life well when you're like immersed in the sensory experience of it, when you're really hearing the world around you. I suppose I imagine it as like life coming alive through sound. There are different senses that we can experience predominantly in life, and I guess I think of this as like, if you're trying to process through a day, maybe listening to music that like matches your mood. Like sometimes like we go through a difficult thing in life, maybe it's like a breakup, like you might digest that experience, assimilate that experience better by really like listen to songs about breakups or listen to sad music. Or if like you have a great day, like maybe you have a great job interview, like listening to Walking on Sunshine, like kind of matching your life experiences to sounds that correlate. There's even like sounds of ocean waves or forest experiences. Like, I think really experimenting with that and seeing like what type of sound environment best supports you in thriving and having well-being. Remembering human design is an experiment, but there may be an extra sensitivity here to the soundtrack of your life. Now, this can also include absence of sound as well, because you could be experiencing sound in a negative way. So you want to pay attention to how different sound environments influence you. And maybe there are sound environments that are too chaotic for you. Like maybe, for example, a mall food court is too much, and maybe you benefit from having specific headphones, like noise canceling headphones or things like that, to better take control of your sound environment in order to digest food and life itself. I just think of, I don't know, like times past, I guess, like when people would gather around as a family and like play piano music, like before TV even existed, like let alone smartphones and things like that, like in the Victorian era. And you might experiment with that, like experiment with listening to some instrumental music while you eat and see how that helps you. And certainly you may find if you're in harsh sound environments, like if people are yelling or you're listening to like a dramatic show where there's a lot of negative things being said, that could actually negatively influence your digestion. There were a few articles that mentioned that high sound individuals may thrive by consuming items that come from high places, like herbs or foods that grow in high altitudes, or by eating like with a view. Like, I'm not really sure about that, but I am curious, like if you have high digestion, do you find that you digest food better? Like, have you ever taken a trip and gone to the mountains, for example? And if so, like if you're on a ski trip in the mountains or you're at a high elevation, do you actually digest food better? Do you digest life better? Like, do you find that you have a better experience when you are higher up? I'm really curious to hear about your experiences with high digestion. So let me know in the comments below. Low sound. I should quiet myself a little bit. Low sound. We're gonna have low sound. For those with low sound, for your digestion, taking in less is good for you. Kind of approaching life in a gentle fashion. Less is more. Don't overwhelm your system. And I think less can be more with eating too. Like, you may find that you digest better if you eat smaller, more frequent meals, and possibly meals with less ingredients, like less sound. Like if you ever like turn over a package of food and there's like, here in the States especially, we allow everything, I swear, for ingredients. There could be like 50 ingredients. That's a lot of sound. If you think of ingredients of life or ingredients of food as sound, that's like intense. So I think when you have low sound, right, you want to flip it over and it's one ingredient, or it's two ingredients, or it's three ingredients. And when you're eating in a quiet place can be really good. You may thrive with ample solitude, and just taking quiet time, like before eating, while eating, or after eating, taking in less information so that you can better assimilate what you're taking in, especially perhaps taking in less sound information. There are definitely people who can like listen to stuff all day, listen to people talk all day, and then listen to podcasts all day, and then that might not be you. You might find that consciously choosing what you're taking in is best, like listening to just 1 hour of something, like one podcast a day, and then really taking time to assimilate it, being conscious about conversations, not just like answering your phone for everyone that calls you and just talking to everyone, because you might feel really overwhelmed and have difficulty digesting all of those experiences. but being really conscious about what you're taking in. You may find it is of benefit to walk around without listening to anything. Like most people always have earphones in, they're always listening to something. Maybe driving. I always am perplexed by my friends and family members who drive without listening to the radio. Like just drive in quietude, but that may be right for you. Eliminating any unnecessary ingredients from your diet, like asking, even from recipes, like asking, is this really necessary? You know, like sometimes we make a recipe and there's all these little things where it's like, oh, you just need a pinch of this, or you just need to, 1/8 of 1 teaspoon of this. Like, do you really need it? I think, and just kind of eliminating what is unnecessary. Asking yourself as you go through life, like, why am I doing this? Why am I adding this? Why am I listening to this? Do I need to be listening to this? Can I take out my headphones? Do I really need to be having this conversation? Like, I think giving yourself permission to step away. Do I really need to have this TV on while I'm eating? Maybe I could turn it off and see how I do. And I think this is really about like honoring your impulses to unplug. Like you may have impulses to unplug, to power down your phone, to take off the headphones, to seek quiet, and you should experiment with that and see how you do. You might thrive with meditation to quiet your mind, especially before meals, like especially if you struggle with like emotional eating or any issues around eating. Quieting the mind and eating in a quiet and conscious way can be of tremendous benefit to you. Slowing down can be of tremendous benefit to you. Even just lowering the volume of your sound environment. Just turn the TV down or ask politely for your roommates or family, turn down the volume a little bit. Maybe listening to calming frequencies like 850 hertz. Slow down, experiment with eating alone, experiment with eating in silence, experiment with maybe taking lunch at your desk rather than in a busy environment or like a busy cafeteria. Just experiment with how sound, both in the literal sense of like what you hear, but also sound in the sense of like energy and overall, I don't know how to describe that, just like the sound of life. Like if you turn the volume down on life itself, turn the volume down on your experiences, you may find that you digest and assimilate life much better. Direct or direct light. Go get 'em. If the sun is up, go get 'em. Approach life head on. When you wake up in the morning, know what you're going for. Have a clear sense, go after your goals while the sun is high and bright, and honor your healthy appetites. So there's a lot of cultures in the world that eat their biggest meal around noon time, and this might be right for you. So Human Design would suggest that you do your best digestion during the light of day, under direct sunlight. So like even eating like sitting next to like a bright window, or even eating outside like on a picnic blanket or in sunlight. You also may find that you make your most important decisions during the bright sunlight of day. So I definitely recommend, if you have important business meetings, even dates, like you're gonna go on a first date or significant, just anything significant that is happening in your life, try to do it when the sun is out. Try to do it during the day. For you, the sun is your guiding light, and more than any other type, you will thrive by avoiding eating in the dark. So, take breakfast around sunrise time or afterwards, and stop eating when it gets dark, which can be kind of early in the winter time, but you'll probably struggle to digest food if you eat food after dark, or if you go to bed with like a really full stomach. I think of the 16-8 eating plan, where people like fast for 16 hours a day and then eat like in the center point for 8 hours. That could be right for you. Now, Human Design is an experiment, and so you want to experiment for you personally and find out what works for you. But you may choose to start your experiments by experimenting with putting all your most important things in direct sunlight, taking in high nutrition during the bright time of day. You may also experiment with approaching things head on, like important conversations, and just kind of going for it, like being very direct in your approach to life, asking for what you want, asking for what you need. This can really suit you. Let me know if it does in the comments below. Indirect or indirect light. For some reason, this one really interests me. I think of you all as being like a classic night owl. There's something so perplexing about this. This is like nocturnal animals. And you might actually take inspiration from some nocturnal animals, but like just in the sense of like watching their patterns and then matching their patterns. This suggests that you digest very well in darker conditions. So this can be a person that actually can get like a stomach ache or something like that if you eat a big meal in the middle of the day. But you might find like your appetite naturally kicks up as the sun starts going down. You could be one of those people who's ordering the pizza at 11 o'clock at night and you just feel so good and everyone else is sleeping and you're up there and you're creating and you're having fun and you're doing your best work and you're eating, and it is after dark. There's just something so interesting about life lived after dark. I think that you all are the type that could thrive a lot more with even like shift work or working in a night type of environment, like a nightclub, or working the night shift. If you have like a typical day job or you need to eat during the day, you might experiment with like turning off the lights, closing the shades, having blackout curtains, just like creating a little bit of a darker environment, and that might bring out your creativity and help you digest lights. I think I definitely know people who have had this type before, because I've definitely had a lot of people in my life who are like always turning off the light, always bringing in low light, always wearing sunglasses, like always sort of trying to darken the environment during the day. And that makes me think of indirect digestion. You may find that eating outside after dark is really, really good for you and your digestion. So like cooking things over a campfire or grilling after dark, or like those restaurants that have like the little fairy lights and they have like deck seating and stuff like that, that can be really, really beneficial for you. And I think overall, remember that human design is an experiment, but if you want to conduct an experiment to see what helps you to thrive, maybe start by like maybe just like a coffee drink, or like just having liquids for breakfast, maybe like a really light lunch or just like a snack around lunchtime, and making dinner like quite a larger or heavier meal, listening to your body's signals. But really keep in mind your body signals may be different than other people. So see, are you getting body signals? Are you feeling more creative, more alive, more engaged, more inspired when you're working, for example, after dark, or eating after dark? Your Human Design Digestion type would suggest that you are. So I think indirect digestion is a really cool type to have. I'm curious about your experiences. Please let me know in the comments below. Thank you all for joining me today as we explored the digestive types in human design. I absolutely love human design. I have been a psychic for 10 years now, so I've been doing readings full-time for a really long time. I discovered human design, well, I first heard about human design about 5 or 6 years ago, but I didn't really have the call at that time to study it. But about 2 years ago, I started actively studying it and living the guidance, and it has been absolutely incredible, life promoting, life transforming, and it's so fun to teach about and share about. And I just hope that you gained something from today's video. I hope you found a tip or trick that leads to your well-being or the well-being of your friends and family, and that you continue to make amazing discoveries that are life promoting and life transforming for you. That's my mission, is to bring you information that helps to make your life experience a little better, a little brighter. It can be challenging down here on earth as we navigate our life lessons. So anything we can do to make it more pleasant, more harmonious, and to thrive while we're here is definitely worth doing. So I hope I can bring you information that helps you to thrive. If anybody would like a reading or would like to work with me, my details are always in the description below. Thank you for watching. You guys are amazing, and I'm so glad you're here. Many blessings to you, and namaste.